Hi, YouTube. This is Winona. Just want to talk to you for a few minutes about some things and mainly about my experiences in the organized church system. I hope that this video finds you well, and I just want to talk to you. Um, there's a lot of people that don't agree with the message of coming out of the organized church, and they call it heresy. They said that, most people that teach this or push this belief system is due to the fact that they're supposed to be, I guess, so hurt and embittered and so wounded that now they don't fit back into the organized church system. And I want to present another perception or viewpoint of that. You know, when you hear people talk like that, it's mainly religious spirits who feel like their religious system and their denomination and their ministry and their church is something that's supposed to be you're supposed to want to fit in into their church system. You're supposed to want to be a part of what they're doing. You're supposed to want to be a part of their clique. You're supposed to want to be a member. You're supposed to want to be on the fellowship, on the ministerial organization, blah, 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 blah. And they can't fathom that there are people out there that actually don't want to be a part of it. And so instead of actually taking a good look, instead of them actually taking a good look at the system and, you know, examining it and seeing if it is a relevant and sustainable and good system to be a part of and to push to the general public, they would rather find something wrong with the people that's actually saying, hey, look, I don't want to be a part of the organized church system. Hey, look, I don't, I know that God called me out of that. And, just to say, that I want to just take the opportunity to, share some experiences that I've had in the organized church system. Um, I have been raped by someone who was a member of a board of trustees. Um, I almost married someone who was a preacher, by the way, who was on the down low. Okay. Um, Last Thanksgiving, I was physically attacked by a so-called apostle. Basically, I found that he was running game on other women in the church, and I calmly confronted him about it. And when he was confronted about it, that's when he attacked me. You know, I had scars on my neck for a few weeks, and my throat was sore. Because he really got a good grip on me. He took me by surprise. But this was a so-called apostle. Okay, um, I could go on and on and on. I was molested by leaders in the church as a child. My own pastor, who happened to be a relative of mine as well. So, my experience in the organized church system has not been a redemptive one. It has not, it never had been a redemptive one. I never really learned more of God when I went to church. It was those times when God called me out of the church. And I could look back over my life now. I've been saved for over 20 years. I mean, really. And I could recall that the moment I got saved, it wasn't when I went to an altar and accepted Jesus. It wasn't when I went to an altar and spoke in tongues and went down in the water. It was when it was times when I was out and about and seeking God on my own. I recall one time just crying out to God. It was at nighttime, and I was just fed up with my life. And I just said, God, I want to be saved for real. And I don't know where I got to go and what I got to do to be saved. But save me. And he saved me. And there's a religious spirit out there that leads people to believe that they have to go into a church in order to be right with God. A literal physical church building. And, yeah, there are people that don't believe that this is true, but this is real. God is calling a remnant out of the organized physical church building. And if you don't take heed to it, if God is leading you out of it and you don't take heed to it, there's a lot of stuff that He's going to allow to happen to you, excuse me, until you decide to take heed. And in the meantime, while you're saying it's an attack from the enemy, it just may be God's yelling. Because He already told you in a soft whisper, leave. He already told you to go, but you don't want to leave. Because you're so attached to the people in the church, and you're so attached to your position and your title that you have at these churches, that you cannot take heed to what God is trying to tell you to do. I mean, God had to use natural disasters to get me out of places. And I'm talking about churches. Because I was so caught up and so bound by the religious spirit that I couldn't hear from God the way that I needed to hear from God. And I didn't have the courage to say, I'm going to do what God tell me to do. I don't care who say what. And until this last time, back in 2008, 2009, I was really, really, really bound up myself by religious spirit. And I thank God that He freed me from this religious spirit, these religious spirits out here. And the only way you're going to even begin your road to freedom from religious spirits is when you leave these churches. Because these churches they're saturated with religious demons. And I just want to encourage you, if God is dealing with you about leaving your church, don't question God. And I know that sounds real religious and old-timey, but when I say don't question God, don't do what He asks you to do, even if you don't understand why He's asking you to do it. Because if God has to explain Himself to you, He may just do it through some adverse circumstances. Because He said, okay, leave. Okay, it's time for you to go. And you're still there. Then He's going to have to let some things happen in your life to let you know that, hey, yeah, it's time for you to go. And it doesn't mean if God is calling you out of a church system that there's something wrong with you. And I want to really emphasize that. Again, if God says leave a church, and I know these preachers and these apostles and these prophets are going to say the exact opposite of what I'm telling you right now. They're going to make it seem like there's something wrong with you. You are called. They might even acknowledge that it's time for you to go. But they will make it seem like, oh, it's time for you to go because there's something wrong with you. You do not fit in with our religious system because you're a Judas or you're a Jezebel or you're this or you're that. Don't listen to those devils. They're nothing but religious devils from the pit. Now, I'm not going to say from the pit of hell, but they're from somewhere that ain't right. Okay? and you got to totally tune those voices out. You got to get detoxed from that religious system. And you got to just step out on faith and trust God that He is ordering your steps. Trust God, for real. Trust God that He's leading you out of bondage. Because that's what you're in right now. You're in religious bondage. And I just want to encourage you just to leave. If God is telling you to go, go. Don't stay somewhere where God told you to leave. And don't be so quick to join yourself to something else again. Because you'll put yourself back in bondage all over again if God has not led you there. So I'm just gonna finish this up, and I know that this is the Valentine's Day weekend, and there are gonna be certain churches that's gonna be celebrating Valentine's Sunday. If that's what you do. But instead of just waiting one day a year to show love to people, let's try to show love, true love, all year round. Appreciate those who are in your life all year round. Don't wait till February 14th when some man said that that's the day that you celebrate love, to celebrate love. And that's all I have to say about that. And you be blessed and take care of yourselves out there.